later in Chapter 1. But these three mechanics seems pretty basic, but you can combine them in a lot of different ways to do some pretty cool speed tech. So things are going to get moving pretty quickly once we really get into the beat of the game.
Once we unlock the dash at the end of Prologue, which we'll be seeing in just a bit, and runners are going into it.
We're off.
But yeah, once we get into the thick of it, we can go into how these dashes branch off into these different kinds of advanced movement options.
Ooh, little hiccup from Salad there in the prologue. No problem.
Yep. So for only having a jump and a grab, navigating the prologue can be a bit tricky to nail down at first, as you're trying to optimize your movement with I don't know, you don't have that many options to get faster, per se.
The only really way to go faster is by jumping and just trying to not get stuck on walls. Jumping saves you like 2 frames compared to just walking.
Yeah, it's 2 frames exactly, which is why you see our runners jumping across that collapsing stone bridge. All right, so Hex is going to get into the city first, where we'll be showcasing a few of our new dash mechanics. So he'll start off here with a dash jump, which you just hit your dash and jump buttons at the same time. On this wall here, both runners will perform a jump while dashing up the wall. That allows them to kick off the wall and get a little more horizontal momentum while going upwards.
Right. Most speed tech in this game is based off of dashing and then jumping, either horizontally or vertically.
Yes. Both runners there just executed a hyper dash, which is doing this dash jump while holding down right or down left, depending on which direction you're going. But that allows them to sacrifice a little bit of vertical distance for horizontal momentum.
So you can already see how these symbol mechanics combine in these ways to give you a lot of freedom of movement. And that's also added on to the various environmental factors that the game gives you, like the traffic blocks that we've seen, which send you shooting in a particular direction. And you can use the momentum from those blocks to give yourself greater speed. And we're going to see a lot of that momentum type of action during this whole run from various sources.
Yes. Both runners on that last screen there did the first case of a spike jump, which we'll see a little later on. But it allows you... All right, Hex is struggling a bit here on this wall. You have to neutral jump up a wall, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a tricky one. Neutral jumping is sort of a hidden speed tech. I mean, it's not actually that fast, but it just lets you skip some stuff because it lets you climb up long sections of a wall without using up any stamina, which is usually a problem in these cases.
Salad here is getting us into Chapter 2, which introduces one new mechanic in the Dream Blocks, which we'll see coming up very shortly.
My personal favorite mechanic in the game. Just very fun.
I definitely agree. Dream Blocks just feel so good to navigate through. But the point of the Dream Blocks is they can give you your dash back as you dash into them for as long as the block goes. You will die if you hit a wall, which is connected to the Dream Block, but they're pretty fun to navigate.
So Salad has just entered the Battle Line chase portion of Chapter 2. Where Battle Line, a dark version of yourself, is chasing you from 3 seconds behind. So she's going to copy everything that he does, and if she touches him, he's in trouble.
And a few of these rooms have these lock switches, which you need to hit in order to progress through the room. We can see one on Hex's, or actually Salad's screen just now.
Salad just had a nice weave directly through those 3 battle lines that were chasing him.
I'm going to navigate this last screen pretty easily. Gets through the lock switch and is out of the battle line chase.
So once the battle line chase is over, the level gets a lot more tranquil. There's nothing that can really kill you. And it's really just a challenge to try to get through the terrain without getting caught up on a wall as quickly as possible.
Yeah, the end of that sequence and then the entire Awake sequence, which you'll see coming up now, is just very movement-based. It's optimizing whatever dash jumps, hypers, whatever you need.
Bunny hops.
Yeah.
We can mention that You lose speed a lot faster on the ground than in the air. So if you're moving at high speed and you jump when you hit the ground, you'll be able to keep your speed a lot longer. That's called the bunny hop.
And bunny hops are very pivotal to maintaining this momentum that you get from dashes. All right, Hex is going to get through the battle and chase with very little problems, and we'll be finishing up the dream sequence in just a second. Salad here is starting Chapter 3, which brings us to the Celestial Resort, where we'll see our first use of the screen transitions. If you dash upward to the end of the screen, you will get your dash back as it transitions. So you can abuse this to climb higher without actually needing to touch any walls, which allows us to get this key to get into the resort.
Yep. So the Celestial Resort, very cycle-based. You can see these dust bunnies rotating, moving back and forth. This is a big difficulty spike for a lot of new players in the casual run. It's pretty difficult in the speed run too, though at least since there's no RNG and the cycles are set, you'll at least know what you're getting into if you practice.
Yeah. So far, Salad's doing a really good job of navigating through it. He's not having to worry about these death cycles, which happen when, of course, you die, and then cycles are a little more different than they would be when you enter a room. In some cases, it'll be easier to leave a room to go of a cycle you're more prepared for. Other times, you should have a backup prepared to handle these different cycles. All right, Salad's going to get the key, and we'll get through that rather easily. And we can get to the huge mess section.
Yeah, so Salad has just entered the huge mess. This is a very difficult section of the game to try to move quickly through. This is very cluttered. So there are 3 kinds of blocks here, and we're now going to be cleaning up this hotel for Mr. Oshiro, who we've been talking to, by hitting these 3 switches in different sections.
Yeah, and the order of the switches in a casual playthrough wouldn't matter too much, but the order of the runners will be taking will be based on Oshiro's positioning after we hit each switch, which is in the next screen, or next 2 screens for Salad. So we usually go the bottom, top, middle routes.
Right. And that's mainly based on just where Oshiro is going to be after every section, because you need to talk to him before you can progress.
Yeah, coming out the bottom just gets us right below him there. And then, as we'll see after Salad completes this section, we'll be literally right in front of Oshiro when we come down.
Very convenient.
Now Hex will be starting the section as well. And Salad hits the second one. So Salad will pop out right in front of Oshiro. Makes for a very, very convenient play. Hex is going to be doing a spike jump here, where you can jump off the bottom corner below the spikes, where it looks like you're jumping off the spikes, but you're not actually. You want to explain a bit more of that, Berto?
Yeah, sure. We call them spike jumps, but it's a little bit misleading, because what you're actually jumping off of is the wall, and spikes happen to not hurt you if you're moving in the direction that they're pointing. So by using a pretty precise trick, you can wall jump off to the left and just pass right through the spikes and skip a little bit of the room that way.
There's a few instances of that throughout the run, but that's probably one of the most notable, along with one in Chapter 3.
Right.
There's about 7.
Yeah, I think there's basically 3 uses of it in any percent, and altogether they probably just save like 10 or 15 seconds.
All right, Salad's getting to some of the more longer rooms, where if you die towards the end of them, you will respawn at the beginning, and that loses you quite a bit of time. Gets through the first 2 without any deaths. So
yeah, very well done there. Even if you have to move a little slower through those rooms, it's much better than dying at the end of one of them.
All right, so right here, Salad does 4 hypers to get across to that key and then resets. It is much faster to reset there instead of taking the intended route above that room.
Right. When you get a key in this game, it will stay with you even if you die. so that by resetting, he can just teleport back to the start of the room with the key. It's one of the 2 intentional deaths in the any percent route.
And now we'll be starting the Oshiro race, as I like to call it. So Oshiro's mad at us, Battlin's angered him, and we're going to be receiving the brunt of his anger. So Oshiro attacks based on our vertical positioning. When lightning strikes, he's locked in, but he'll alter his position to line up with us. If we touch him, we die, but we can bounce off his head. And yeah.
HexBlaze also making it through the elevator shaft section very competently.
Yeah, both runners have had a really good resort so far.
Yeah, and HexBlaze is not all that far behind. He's really doing a good showing.
So I think Salad took an intentional death there to get on the death cycle intentionally. Do you think sometimes it's easier to do the death cycle in this room?
I used to do death cycle in that room, and then I learned a better entrance cycle version, but I often die on it anyway, so I just default to death cycle. But I mean, that's a hard room. It's very long, so kudos to Salad for getting through it without getting tilted, dying a lot.
That is definitely the longest room in Resort, if I'm not mistaken. So to get through that really clean is very, very important.
So as Hex starts the Oshiro fight, Salad has moved on to Golden Ridge, which is introduces many more mechanics, as most chapters in Celeste do. So we have the wind, which can push in either direction. We have these bubbles, which basically act like little stationary dashes in the air that refresh your dash. And we have these clouds, which act like trampolines.
Yeah. You get your dash back when you exit these bubbles, so you get a little more distance in whichever way you go. Takes an unfortunate death there on the spike. That jump underneath that little wall of spikes is very tight, to say the least.
Yeah, that's a strat that I know I die a lot on it, and it only saves a little amount of time. I'm always debating with myself whether to even go for it or not. Looks like Salad is opting not to go for the spike jump here. I think he did the same for Chapter 3, which is fine. I guess he's just not used to that. And it only saves a little bit of time, so... Let's see if he goes for the auto-scroller skip here.
Yeah, in a race... well, this is the, auto-scroller skip 1.0. You can... Yeah, go ahead.
Right. No, you can go ahead, actually.
Well, based on the way momentum works in this game, you can get a little more vertical momentum based on how the block pushes you. So by reverse hypering, not only do you get the momentum you normally would get, but you get the extra boost from the block, allowing you to make that jump.
Very nice wave dashes off of those little points. A wave dash is basically a hyper dash that starts in the air. It has pretty much the same mechanics, though. It's just a downward diagonal dash followed by a jump. But he did it at the right timing to get his dashes back so that he could dash forward again in the air after getting his big speed boost.
Salad's entering the second big auto-scroller here.
This
really
one is very hard to skip.
Yeah, I know a lot of people here watched the task of it at GDQ, where you can just jump on the lock, but that is
It's almost impossible RTA. I know it has been done, but I would never expect to see anyone try it in a race.
Yeah, I think one person's done it, if I remember correctly. And
I think it was actually discovered by a human before the task did it.
Really?
I think. I might be wrong about that.
That would actually surprise me, because that skip's something else, to say the least.
So Salad is now in the cliff face, which has very strong wind. Basically, the only way to get through the section to actually make progress is to dash forward or to use these hyper dash mechanics.
Yeah, just walking through here is not going to cut it. You get almost zero forward momentum.
We also see these snowballs, which sort of like Oshiro, they track your vertical position, but they're coming at you from the front, so it's a little harder to get out of their way.
Yeah, and similar to Oshiro, you can bounce off the top of them, but if you hit them, then you will die. All right, final room here for Salad.
I really like Golden Ridge because in the previous 2 levels, you're dealing with all this stuff. You have to clean up the mess. You have to be chased by your inner problems. But in Golden Ridge, it's just you against the mountain. It's really nice.
Yeah, the past 2 are a lot more hectic, and in both the music and the level design itself, up until the end, Golden Ridge is a lot more relaxed. All right, Salad's entering the Mirror Temple. It is easily the most open of the chapters, and we'll be introduced to these dash blocks, which activate when, of course, you dash, and they can give you crazy momentum if you ride them.
Right, so in addition to the dash blocks, we have these red bubbles, which are like the blue bubbles, except instead of just taking you a dash distance, they'll continue on infinitely until you either hit something or dash out of them.
And up there you saw Salad do a wave dash to get through that very long spike tunnel. Normally you would have to go to the left to get a red bubble to get through that, but with a wave dash and or hyper dash, you can just fly across it.
Yep, there are a few ways to get through that, and it skips having to go through a couple of rooms.
Alright, Salad's going to elect to go under that dash block. And we're coming up on the double bubbles, where normally you're intended to get a key to unlock a door at the far right of this room, but thanks to a second bubble, we can just go back across to the left and under to a secret bubble that allows us to get through here. The one Hex taking an unfortunate snowball death at the very end of that room.
Wow, very narrow miss by the snowball there.
Yeah, learn from his mistake the last time and just jumped over it. Alright, and Sal will be beginning the unraveling section.
Yep,
So we'll be
has just entered
introduced.
the mirror.
We'll be introduced to these seekers, which, like the previous chapters form, have a mechanic that allows them to lock in on us based on vertical positioning, but also how close we are to them.
Right, so Seekers can move in both dimensions. They'll dash towards you when they see you and try to kill you. You can jump on their head to bop them and get their dash back. They'll respawn shortly afterward. And they can actually hit switches for you. So we're going to be probably seeing some AI manipulation to get them to hit some of these switches for these players.
Yep, AI manipulation definitely helps us get through quite a few of these rooms rather quickly. Right, Hex has also entered the Mirror Temple, where we can see him do this tunnel skip. And he
Very
gets
nice.
it. And Salad struggling a bit to climb that wall, but gets it.
So the explosion of that Seeker respawning just hit the coin for him and opened the door.
Yep. Alright, so... Oh, the Seeker doesn't see him.
Didn't quite get that that manipulation there. I haven't seen that very often.
I don't think I've ever seen it. So normally you can just grab that wall and the Seeker will notice you as you enter the room.
Very nice, the speedy moment from HexBlaze there, getting the momentum from the dash block to go speeding across that big room.
Oh yeah, that's a recent strat that Revo and TGH have both been doing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a cool strat, and the best part about it is that if you can get the corner boost at the end, then you can just fly through the next screen without using that block at all.
Alright, and Salad here... Oh yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Search skip.
Alright, well, Salad is doing one of the most important skips in the game, if you ask me. That skip right there, we can reverse hyper over those spikes. Allows you to skip this section, which requires you to get 2 keys to get a bubble to go across that. It saves about a minute or 2.
Probably closer to 2. It's a really big time save.
Yeah.
Because the area where you get those 2 keys is basically a big labyrinth with a lot of obstacles and screens to get through.
I would stress it as the most important skip to learn in this route. All right, so Salad is now doing our Theo section. Theo is locked in a crystal, and we need to carry him through these rooms to progress. The thing with Theo is that you can't dash while holding him, but you can throw him, and you can dash to catch him, which we'll see a lot of in this next section.
Yeah, this is a pretty hated section by a lot of players. It's very difficult until you get used to the movement. It just at the whole throwing and grabbing him as part of the momentum thing, it just adds a lot of complication to the movement here.
And as we saw before that death, Theo can also activate switches, and he can interact with the Seekers by just bouncing off them and pushing them back.
Which you usually don't want to happen.
Yeah, you generally want to avoid touching Seekers with either you or Theo. All right, we're going to see a neat trick here.
Didn't quite get it.
Yeah.
But the dash wall can give you a lot of momentum. The task is even able to clip through the spike wall to the left there by using the momentum from that.
Yeah, the task is super crazy with this section. I know a lot of runners either hate this section or love it. Ooh, Sal's going to use the Seeker to get the extra bounce to get over that wall. Yeah, like the movement here is really fun, or it's really difficult to do. So it gets very mixed reactions from our runners.
And Salad has finished chapter 5.
Let's get there. He gets a sub 6 Mirror Temple, which is very good. All right,
Yes,
well,
that is a good time.
Hex is going to get second try search skip, while Salad enters chapter 6, which introduces us to these golden feathers, which generally require an analog to maneuver with, as turns are a lot easier with it. But basically, you can just keep going in one direction until you run out of, I guess, stamina. I don't know what you really call that.
I don't know, like just a timer on the feather. They're only active for a certain amount of time.
All right, and now we'll be seeing these crush blocks, which you can dash into their sides, and they'll push you in this direction. The community notoriously calls them Kevin blocks, since one of the devs, Kevin, well, the story goes that he put his head in a bucket of water and just made the sound form.
Just managed to switch audio to Salad as he's in the lead.
All right. Yeah, you can hear the sound there. All right, so we'll be using neutral wall jumps to climb this wall. Saves quite a few seconds instead of taking the intended route and getting the golden feather. So a big part of Chapter 6 is utilizing momentum to your advantage to get to the next screen. These crush blocks can help do that. Or as you can see there, you can just hopefully get enough momentum to dash over some walls or get some speed into some feathers.
Right. Since momentum persists through screen transitions, there are a lot of places where you can say hyper through a previous screen and then have that momentum as you go to the next screen and use that to your advantage in some ways. So it's pretty important in speedrunning to know what's coming up next and like how you're going to handle it.
Yeah, it's a big thing in each chapter, but I think it's probably the most important for like Chapter 6.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's a lot of rooms in Chapter 6 that are made easier by using momentum from the screen before.
All right, Hex is coming up on the final room of Mirror Temple, and I should say we've seen the third mechanic on Salad screen for Chapter 6, and it's these blue bumpers where if you run into them, they'll bounce you back. Pretty simple as that.
Yeah, they can be pretty temperamental. It's a bit easier to handle if you dash into them, so we're probably going to be seeing a lot of that.
Yeah, they're very finicky in both casual run and speedrunning. There's a trick you can do, which Salad didn't do earlier, but if you dash into the bumper and then hold away from it, you'll get, I believe, double the distance or something crazy like that, which allows you to skip a few things like the bumper in that one room, which
Yeah,
we'll see
if
from
you're
Hex
holding
in a bit.
away from the bumper on the frame that you hit it from the side, then you can get a big boost from it. It's only used in a couple places, but it's pretty cool if you can get it.
All right, Sal gets through the intended skip there. Devs were kind enough to give us a little shortcut through the spike maze.
It's a bit risky though, because you skip the checkpoints in that room by going through that.
Yeah, it's true. It's very tight too. All right, so Salad should be able to get enough momentum off this crush block. See what he does. Yep.
Nice, you got it.
So with the momentum of a crush block and the, I believe it's a hyper into a bunny hop, you can get enough momentum to just fly through that room and dash right into Madeline. Though it's required to skip the cutscene before you actually move into her.
Right. By hypering off the Kevin block and then bunny hopping off the Kevin block, you basically get the momentum from the Kevin block twice. And then one more bunny hop sends you flying straight into her at very high speed. Probably the highest speed any winner will get in a normal any % run.
Yeah. Alright, so Salad's here doing the Battling fight. It's time to conquer our demons, but Ballin's not going to make it too easy. She's going to fire a couple of lasers at us, whether they be in the shape of an actual laser like that, or in these little ball forms. So yeah, you have to hit Battlin in order to progress through a room, but hitting Battlin gets your dash back.
So now the feathers get added to the Battlin section. Very nice momentum skip from Salad on that to avoid having to use the bumper on the bottom.
Alright, struggling to dash off this platform here. I ducks under the laser, good save, and then accidentally misdirects the dash into the spikes. So the thing of a common problem throughout these runs is you're going so fast that sometimes you would misdirect your dash. Using the D-pad or the analog stick or whatever you use, I'm sure you're moving in different directions and will eventually mix them up sometimes. It's a common but unfortunate miscue. Alright, we're in the second half of the battle and fight now, where these blocks will start moving up and down, left and right, get a little bit of momentum from them. So we'll see right here. So with that jump, or that block, you can get momentum enough to jump that spike wall. And here you can just jump off the jump off that block and get momentum to go enough right. So last room here for Salad as HexBlaze starts the battle and fight. This is the longest and the most punishing. With feathers, you can sometimes hit walls or time indifferently. Dying there is very painful. Yep, Salad does it almost perfectly.
And now Salad levels up, which effectively means he has 2 dashes now. If you see his hair has changed color to pink. So he has 2 dashes he can use in the air now before he has to land on the ground again.
Yeah, I want to make it a goal to point out every time I'm on here to note the hair color, because it's a very, very clever way to track your dashes. Normally you just have a red hair, which turns blue when you use your dash, and when it's blue, you know that you don't have a dash. And in these cases, you get the extra pink hair, which means you have 2 dashes. It's very smart game design from the developers.
Yeah, it's a great visual cue to know, like, if you're in trouble, if you messed up some strat and you need to figure out a backup or something before you actually try to dash and realize oh, I can't do it.
Alright, so Sal's coming up on the potpourri of previous chapters, the summit, where each mini level, I'll say, is based on a previous chapter in this game, bar the first and last ones.
Right, so basically in the story, You first in chapters 1 through 5, you were climbing the mountain. Then at the beginning of chapter 6, you were knocked all the way back down to the bottom, even below the bottom. And now, after you've reconciled with your dark self, you have 2 dashes, and then you race all the way back from the bottom to the top. So we're going to see all of these previous themes and chapters that we've seen before come back. So now Salad is in chapter 1. We have the traffic blocks again. So yeah, we're going to see all of these make another appearance, except the levels are a lot harder, and we have 2 dashes.
Yep. I should note that Chapter 6 is avoiding this just because of its relevance in the plot, which if you haven't played this game, I won't spoil any of that, but recommend you do play it.
It's a very fun game, even if you don't plan to speedrun it. It's a great game casually.
All right, Hex is maneuvering through the second half of this battling fight rather nicely.
So at the end of each of these sections in Summit, we're going to have these sections where we have to hit the battle line orbs, and she'll shoot you up, and then at the end you get shot up to the next section.
Yep. Have to be able to hit them all in order to progress through here. So we're at 1,000 meters where we get reintroduced to the dream blocks, where you'll see a lot more jumping out of them and maybe even hypering.
Probably not going to see much hypering from these runners. It's pretty new, and it's really tough.
Yeah. It's it's very tough to say the least. Right, but
Oops.
Mr. X dash there. Needs to does it again.
HexBlaze just finishing up chapter 6 with a just over 7 minutes, which is quite good.
That's a pretty solid time. All right, coming to the last room of this 1,000 meters. And off we go. So the dreaded cycles of dust bunnies make their return in 1,500 meters.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the more dreaded parts of the run.
Yeah, I would argue it's probably the hardest pre-3000. But the good news is there's quite a few fun strats you can pull off to make them a little less painful, to say the least.
All right, looks like Salad is catching the normal cycle. Nice and safe and competent. No dying in that room, which is very punishing.
I mean, that right there, so you can enter that room with enough momentum to bunny hop and go into a diagonal dash down right, which is technically called an ultra, which is basically a hyper dash chain into another diagonal dash, or downward diagonal dash. The way speed works in this game is that it's uncapped based on these diagonal dashes. So by chaining a diagonal dash with a hyper, you can get pretty crazy momentum.
Salad kept taking a couple deaths in this last 1,500 meter room, but
Yeah,
he
cycles...
seems to know this death cycle pretty well, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, the cycles in that room are very awkward, especially towards the end, because you just have to wait for it to go down or go up, and it's very against the nature of a speedrunner to wait.
Yeah, sometimes in those rooms, the only way to go fast is to slow down a little bit.
That's a common complaint with Chapter 3 and its base levels. It's very anti-fast.
HexBlaze entering 1,000 meters, while Salad works through 2,000. Very nice snowball room so far. That's a hard one.
I'm going to use the screen transition to catch this auto-scroller without having to touch the ground.
All right, very nice auto-scroller skip by Salad, and he finishes it.
Chapter 4 has been heavy on auto-scrollers, so it's another sort of anti-fast technique, but they're not traditional auto-scrollers.
There are ways to get past them. Almost every one of them. It's pretty great.
Yeah, there's at least one skip for every auto-scroller. It's just RTA viable. Not really.
Not all of them, yeah.
All right, Hex is having a really nice 1,000 meters. And gets to it. Very nice. Yeah, mid 230 is a pretty good time for the first 3 parts of Summit.
Summit is the last chapter out of 7, and yet it takes up about a third of the run. It's just very long.
It's undoubtedly the longest whole segment of the run.
It's a gauntlet. And now we see Salad in 2,500 meters, the Mirror Temple section. And there's a lot of cool skips here, so we'll see how many of them he can get. Very nice, using the momentum off of that dash block there. And wave dash, ooh, not quite the dash he was looking for. But he got that death cycle. Oh,
Happens again.
misdirecting dashes is a very common form of death. Ooh,
Oh, 3rd time. It's alright.
he might be getting a little frustrated. All right, he got
There
it.
we go. Alright, so right here we'll be seeing another notable spike jump where you can just skip a bubble on the bottom screen and
Very nice first strike
dash
kick
your way out
there.
there. That's also the second intentional death we normally take in these runs.
Yep, they all involve getting keys and then warping back to the entrance with a death.
We'll slide in
Very
through
nice
there.
threading the needle there. And let's see if he can do it again. Door skip part 1. Door skip part
Perfect.
2. Very nice.
So that saves about 1 second, and it's probably more trouble than it's worth, but you know, it's
kind
time
of a meme
save.
now. It kind of became a meme when everyone was going for it and obsessed with it, and the top runners were not going for it because they said it wasn't RTA viable. Now, of course, like everyone goes for it.
And now it's definitely RTA viable, and it still has that reputation. Alright, Hex collects a swag berry on his screen. So berries aren't required for the 100% route, but you know, sometimes your routing runs into them, and well,
Yeah, there are a couple that are just in the way.
like this one.
Yep.
Alright, Salad clears the potpourri and gets us to the final run, the 3,000 meters.
So wind makes a comeback in 3,000 meters, except this time it's downward. So he's actually gravity is basically increased. He can't jump as high. He can't dash as high. It's a little bit claustrophobic, but he's making do okay.
It's very finicky. It's very tight, to say the least.
Yeah, there's a lot of tricky movement in 3,000 meters, and it's just also at the very end of the run. You know, both players are fatigued. You know, the end is in sight. Maybe they're glancing at the clock in the upper left. Yeah, 3,000 is where a lot of runs go to die.
And right here we'll be reversing the wind effects. Now that we're in updraft, gravity is decreased. So you can jump higher, dash higher, you'll fall slower. You're very floaty in this section.
Falling slower is sometimes actually a hindrance to speedrunners. So sometimes you'll be seeing runners hold down as they fall to fall faster, just to counteract that floatiness of the wind.
And I don't think we've pointed it out yet, but in Summit, or in the final stretch of Summit, there are these checkpoints. There's 30 of them. When you hit them, you respawn there when you die. Some of them are skippable, but of course skipping them is an added risk.
Yeah, those flag checkpoints are some of the best part of the casual run, when you spend a lot of time just going through the whole game, and now the end is in sight, and you have this great countdown that's leading you to victory.
Hex able to get the spike jump there. And he'll move on to the last few rooms of 2,500. No,
Another
Sal's
checkpoint
coming
to
up
skip,
here.
but no problem.
Yeah, it's one of easier checkpoints to skip. Some of them are super easy, and you know, you take more time than it's worth to touch them.
Yep.
All right, final 6 here for Salad. Last screen transition as well, starting now.
Yeah, this is the final screen of the game for Salad. Just a few more checkpoints to go. Some of these are pretty long and tough, though, so hopefully he gets through them. No problem.
Working really well on him so far. Alright, so
HexBlaze
here you can
is just about to finish up 2,500 meters and join Salad in 3,000.
pretty close race. Both of these runners are very skilled. Just a few minutes apart PB-wise.
Ooh, unfortunate death from HexBlaze, the end of the final screen there. Very long room.
Along with the last room of Chapter 6, or at least in a battle and fight, I think that one's probably the most punishing to die in. Because you have to wait for these things. Alright, Salad has hit flag 1 and is coming up on the summit.
Yep. We're about to have time. That's it.
Yep.
GG.
Wait, what's his time?
That's
37:29.
Yeah, very nice. That
Is that a PB?
sounds like a PB. At least it's a PB based on his SRCom time. Not sure if he's had a unofficial or unverified PB, but if he hasn't, then that is a pretty nice PB, like really nice, by more than a minute based on his SRCom.
A very nice run from Salad to get a really good win against a pretty good opponent.
I'm gonna go ahead and switch the audio to HexBlaze.
Go for it. All right, and Hex also has a chance to PB. He's finishing up downdraft right now.
Yeah, actually, a PB from Hex seems pretty likely at this point.
Unfortunate wall kick off the crumble blocks. All right, but he makes it out alive with a mid 38. All right, pretty nice checkpoint skip. Yeah, Hex is making quick work of his updraft section.
It's one of the hardest flags right here.
Yeah,
Pretty long checkpoint with the hardest part right at the end.
Yeah, it's a very narrow gap to get through, but Hex does it no problem. All right, is he going to go for it? Yep. Oh, just misses it. So thanks to updraft, that spike becomes skippable.
Not going for it a second time. That's fine.
He'll go for the safer strat, which is perfectly fine. Oh, just narrowly gets over that wall. Alright, so sometimes you can skip 10. Hex made sure to hit it and was rewarded with the respawn there.
Alright. Nicely done.
Couple more screen. Right, on the final screen here for Hex. He's got about a minute and a half to PB. I think he can do this. Just needs some clean movement here.
Alright.
Oh, unfortunately runs into the very bottom of that wall. So feathers are really tough to maneuver once you accidentally hit something.
Yeah, it bounces you off and makes your direction all crazy. Got through it?
Yeah, you have to regain control of it. Alright, using some safer strats and grabbing on the wall instead of wall bouncing. But
All
flag
right,
1.
Flag 1. Almost there. It's nice that flag 1 kind of gives you a break from the hard stuff. It's like the home stretch.
It's definitely a
And
rewarding
time.
run. Alright, so Hex
Very
is,
nicely done by both players.
Hex is also going to PB if if SCR is correct.
Yeah. That would be another double PB race. Lots of PBs going on in this tournament. It's really gratifying to see.
Just shows the practice these runners have put in for this race and the reward they're getting for it.
That's got to feel good. I mean, even if you lose a race, to get a PB, you know, always
It's a
feels
very nice consolation, to say the least. All right, but that's going to do it for our runners here. Do we have time to bring any of them for an interview?
I'm not totally sure who decides that.
All right, both of them ending up with 40 deaths. That's actually kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how the death count and the time can be so different. I mean, the general progression of this game, getting good at this game, is to die less, then you improve your strats, but the strats are harder. So then you die more, but you get better time, and then you start to die less again, and then repeat the cycle. And also, of course, some deaths are much more costly than others. Like a death at the end of a very long room is equal to 5 deaths at the start of a room.
It's a very gratifying cycle. All right, so we have time for an interview. Just need to bring one of them in here, or if anyone want to.
Yeah, we'll see if they join up. In the meantime, feel free to follow the runners because they're awesome.
Yes. Let me pop in here and do the command real quick.
And let's see what else we have coming up tonight. We have a Catnet versus Fledgerby on Speed Gaming 3 at 8 p.m. We also have another race at 8 p.m. between Taggerson and JJ Plays Games. I don't see a channel for that, so I'm not sure that will be restreamed. 9 p.m. we have Tidal versus Babai. That'll be great to watch. Babai is an excellent runner, at least. And at 10 p.m. we have TGH versus Bright Guy 77. Yeah, that's tonight. Bright Guy 77 versus TGH. So a lot of good runs coming up tonight, so stay tuned.
Yeah, a lot of really high-level play coming up. So if you enjoyed this run and you want to see more, definitely stick around across the Speed Gaming channels. You'll see a lot of good Celeste. Be sure to follow runners at twitch.tv/iisalad and twitch.tv/HexBlaze. And you can follow us, your commentators, at twitch.tv/BirdO'Prey and twitch.tv/ImposterCoster. Doesn't look like we'll be getting any interviews in. So I think that will be it for us.
Yep. I guess we'll just sign off. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, this has been Coster and
BirdO'Prey.
Yep. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more action.
Yep. Good night, everyone.